I should have known. I don't know why Wolf didn't get the extra credit, but I understand that Chronicler needs to be #1. And there's only one way to do that if somebody else got a perfect week. Let's get into the draft here, though, for game #1. HANJIN BRION are going to be on our blue side. First pick will go over to Dplus Kia, as they had the right of first selection, and they are going to use it to ban away a Nocturne.
Yeah, Rumble, not too much of a surprise, going to come in as the next ban. And for me, I think we haven't seen too many changes on the patch. You know, things didn't really get shaken up that much, just a couple of little tweaks. So expect things to kind of carry on as they have been. For me, I think HANJIN BRION, Teddy has just been in really good form.
He has.
Even in the losses. So a lot of focus towards him, I think, could have a lot of value. Karma, the nerfs are kind of minor.
Yeah.
You know, just like a tweak to her laning a little bit, but even then, still seeing her super high
Karma's
priority.
really upset about losing some AD.
Yeah.
I think her shield got a little bit tapped as well.
It was just the mana cost, which, you know, not the sort of champion that goes that much in lane. Now, Varus was open and available, so first picked by Dplus here, and that's something that puts a lot of pressure in the 2v2. And, you know, we were just talking about Teddy being in an excellent position. You want to make sure you have a lane that can match into the Varus and do well. We often see Sivir into Varus. You don't necessarily have to pick it now, though. My concern with taking a Sivir on this rotation is that they take a Jarvan, so they go for the Pantheon here.
And Pantheon has been pretty good.
Yeah.
The thing about the Varus that really bothers me is the fact that it's a flex, right? They picked the Ezreal for Teddy, obviously a comfort pick for him, but you don't know that is where the Varus is going to be going. There could be a different lane in store, and I hope that they hold on to that counter pick, or the flex pick, sorry, for as long as possible. But Jarvan is going to be locked in here, and then I assume ShowMaker is going to play Azir or something like that.
I feel that's why they went for the Ezreal, is because the Jarvan on 2 here was such an expected thing. You know, go for the Sivir, you fall into that trap. Ezreal has been a super big comfort for Teddy, as you said.
Lee Annie is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think one of the big things with Lee Sin is you want to have consistent CC to set him up.
Yep.
After level 6, you have that in the bot lane already, or top lane potentially. And mid lane, the point and click stun.
You also have Chains of Corruption as well, so there's a lot of follow-up for Flash Tibbers. And if you get an AoE stun, then the Chains of Corruption chance of getting that extra follow-up CC is going to be even higher. But here is Widid's favorite lane, the Neeko, going to be locked in.
One he absolutely loves. A lot of poke between this duo, which, you know, you are kind of fighting into the Varus. Obviously, we talked about the Sivir being like the common sort of pick that can negate him. Ezreal does have a strong lane, but can be poked out from a distance, depending on the sport matchup. But picking the Neeko up here and having the chance to trim away other picks has a lot of value. Bard, potentially, could be something you take off. We've seen really high prior on that. Could he go for the Ashe? So, still concerned with the prospect of it being that Varus top. Ashe Seraphine could be an issue. And not want to deal with that.
So some bans to come through here, I expect aimed towards the mid lane, although you can protect top lane just a little bit. But I think top lane's going to be a little bit of a different story because you can pivot the Varus around. So you're not exactly locked in to what that matchup is going to look like. I wouldn't mind just protecting the Annie as best as possible.
Yeah, Aurora is normally the one we see into Annie.
Yep.
Azir, just generally high prio, but normally we get Aurora into Annie specifically, so it wouldn't surprise me if that next ban from Dplus is the Aurora.
I also quite like Azir when there's a Neeko there to lock people down, allows you to get that Emperor's Divide into a position that you like it. And there is the Lulu, going to be taken away as well, so Korea doesn't have the option of going towards that one.
I mean, they're fully committed to the prospect of this being a Varus top. Both of these bans are sort of suggesting the Varus top is what we expect, or at least more of a threat. And there's still good options for Korea. You know, Korea had that fantastic Bard highlight earlier in the season.
He did.
Bard Varus is a pretty solid lane here. They actually don't go for the Aurora, instead going for the Jax ban away from casting.
Yeah, and that suggests that they do want to be playing this Varus in the top lane. As the Aurora that you were talking about, because it did slip through, is going to be likely snapped up here by Loki. Gives him a good lane. The Anivia would also be kind of okay, although I feel like it's not quite as powerful. And he does have that lack of mobility, though, so if you do manage to wall her off, you can get some guaranteed damage down there. Similar to the Anivia into Ryze matchup that we've seen so many times, but this is going to confirm that that Varus is heading towards the top side of the map, as Smash is considering a Jhin pickup. What is going to be... Is it just Jhin Bard? You could just lock in Jhin Bard here if you'd like to.
Jhin Bard makes the most sense in this situation. Pretty solid lane. And I think with the way Briono kind of played out this draft, they end up having a mid matchup they feel comfortable in, but they make sure they get full information on this top lane matchup. They make sure they know it's the Varus before they lock in that top lane pick, so they have that forecasting isn't... Even though they kind of had the sense it could be the top lane Varus, doesn't kind of go into a blind. He knows the matchup he's going into, and they end up picking the Aurora, so this could be Aurora mid, Anivia top.
Yeah, what's the top lane matchup going to be? It looks like it is going to be the Anivia top lane. Casting taking a note out of Zeus's book. He has been our resident bird top laner so far this season.
Or will it be Aurora top, Anivia mid?
All right. It's all a bit the same, as the Aurora is going to be a little bit more safe up there on the top side, which does make a little bit of sense. So that's what they're going to opt in. Never mind. We're switching back. I'm just not... Look, let's just wait. It should be confirmed now. I think that swap was very late, actually.
Maybe down to the second.
Yeah, normally, because we don't actually have the countdown anymore. It was that if it reached 25 seconds, then you had to have everything, all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. It looked like it was earlier than the 25 seconds. Caught me a little bit unawares.
I remember a big thing it used to be was that making sure you had the right defensive runes when it was armor and MR shards.
Oh, yeah, true.
But that doesn't matter here because they're both AP, and it also doesn't matter here because they removed them. So, not really worried either way.
Wow, it's sunny in here. I thought that was just us because of these lights, but apparently it's just all of LoL Park is just a bit glary. Maybe it's because of all of the star power on both HANJIN BRION and Dplus Kia. There are a lot pretty incredible players. They swapped at 29 seconds. Just to confirm, let's get into the rift. Wow. I know we're on the Dplus side of LoL Park here today, but that was a very, very loud cheer. So plenty of Dplus fans making it out. And let's see whether HANJIN BRION can get enough Brotax in order to, create a louder cheer for game number 2. Whether they need it or not is going to be another big question, because these drafts are kind of wacky. I think the Varus has been understandably very, very powerful on that top side of the map. The Dusk Till Dawn build is kind of insane.
Yeah.
But it was first picked, right? There was plenty of time for HANJIN BRION to come up with an answer. It is the Anivia at this stage. And sometimes when there are these coveted picks that are banned all the time, when teams finally do get their hands on them, they cannot necessarily be as powerful as what we would expect. Here on the bottom side, though, Teddy and Namgung going up against Korea and Smash, and Korea and Smash doing a decent job, as my goodness. Blight really, just the on-hit just does so much.
Yeah, that was something as well when they nerfed Poke Varus a bit with his Q damage. They put extra AD ratio onto his W, which is bonus AD, so it's not really having that much impact now, but even just Doran's Blade, the AD Shard, a little bit of a difference. It does do a lot in those early trades. Now, I think the big thing for this top lane matchup is the fact that you end up with a range top, because so often we see Varus into a melee top, they pick the Varus, they expect a bot, they lock a blind Renekton, and it's just nightmare fuel. But the Anivia doing pretty good in the trades.
Have the cannon as well.
You have the egg as the second health pool and the safety for a gank, but also you have pretty good gank set up onto the Varus.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty easy, because I think with the Renekton, you're kind of suffering, and then eventually, gets a cannon as well, that was good.
That was very smooth by casting.
And then eventually, you try and flash on the Varus and set up your jungler, but with the Anivia, you can survive the lane pretty relatively comfortably and still have that gank setup that other picks like a Renekton would have.
Well, currently she has been denied going home, but I think that he's happy to just catch this wave, both of them on relatively low health, and if you're away from your turret, as the Anivia, the egg, may not necessarily be as powerful. Now casting's the one that has to move pretty far up the lane, as GIDEON is in the area, does spot Lucid here with that Scryer's Bloom. Lucid now knows that GIDEON is there as they put wards over the wall at exactly the same time, at exactly the same place. That was very cute. Q going to spot out GIDEON here, who does actually get hit here by the follow-up. ShowMaker over there just to make sure that GIDEON doesn't have any opportunity to fire back. So Dplus with a slight advantage early.
With the mid prio, it might be a bit tricky for Gideon to get in here. He's a little bit lower on HP as well. We saw Loki just get chunked out a bit in that trade. So going to be double scuttle for Lucid. Also has Korea moving up to secure it. Oh
dear, they're looking for Namgung as well as the Q is going to land. Not able to get himself out of the way, and that is first blood over to Korea. Only cost him a flash, but that is a big deal to start off this bottom lane.
Just such a great transition down, had the vision onto the enemy Neeko. Great read there to find the play. One of the things as well, playing Neeko into Bard, it doesn't happen here because the clone was already on cooldown. But you obviously want to use your W to get away, and it can just set you up to stun yourself. So that's always a danger in this matchup there. Obviously didn't come into play. That was a pretty easy setup. But I think Namgung just expected to be safe in that situation and ended up getting punished.
Oh, double flash is actually thrown out towards the top side of the map as well. So Casting and Siwoo trading up there. Does mean Casting is going to be going back a little bit earlier. Teleports back in with the makings of a catalyst. And I imagine Siwoo is going to be looking for a back time as well. There it is. Has the Swifty boots, which will be very valuable when that ulti does come on through.
I think as well, playing into Anivia, the Frost. What's it called? The Q?
The Flash Frost?
Flash Frost, yeah. It's so slow that like having the boots of swiftness just makes it so much easier to dodge.
Yep.
Especially now that you don't have that flash available. Or even just the wall, like being able to walk around it faster. You can see now Siwoo already.
Yeah, not to mention
the path out of it.
Yeah, the combo is, you know, put down the ulti, then put down a wall, and you have extra slow resistance as well, so it makes it even more beneficial. Siwoo does manage to nail that cannon. High value there. So it is just the boots of swiftness to come on through. No damage yet here for Siwoo.
Yeah, I think Varus base damage is just so high that, you know, you can just invest in that movement speed, especially into a lane that's so skill shot based. Level 6 now there for Casting though.
Chains of Corruption does come on down here as Gideon moves over. Lucid here a little bit later. Wall is there as well, and they're just fighting on the ulti. That is not what they wanted to do. And Lucid going to go down for the double for Gideon. HANJIN BRION really finding some success here in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Siwoo just ended up standing there in the ultimate, getting caught up in the CC, obliterated, and then Lucid, unfortunately, trying to save his top lane, and gets caught up in the mixer as well. Not really how you want to play that 2v2.
Absolutely not.
Close.
Smash and Career as well. Doing a bit of battle here towards Namgung and Teddy. Namgung a little bit short on that one as Cosmic Binding also goes wide. But that topside little scuffle is going to be a big problem here for DK because it was Lucid that had a little bit of an advantage in the jungle. It was Siwoo that was able to get some zoning done against Casting, and now that has all been nullified with that gold advantage that they have picked up. Obviously, it is not a gold advantage universally, and it's just like 200 gold, something like that, which isn't real. And the Drake should be going over to Lucid here on the back end of the play as Gideon finishes clearing out his bottom side jungle.
Yeah, the impact though is, I mean, we'll see the replay first. So Siwoo just, you know, standing aggressively, ult goes down, stun connects, he's already half HP, gets basically into, I mean, doesn't even need the execute from Gideon, but he uses it on the Lee Sin and just chunks him.
They were just partying on a glacial storm, which is probably not what you want to do.
Really isn't. And, you know, the immobility of the Varus kind of suffering there, especially with no flash available.
Immobility. Beautiful word. Not actually correct. He is mobile, just not as mobile.
Yeah, true.
To be immobile, I think, is to be stopped.
He did get stopped there, though, when he got...
That's true. He was immobilized for
ice
a moment.
ball thrown at him, yeah. I think the thing, though, now is that Gideon, being the person with the gold, you know, obviously having, like, a fed laner is always nice, but when it's a Pantheon ahead of the curve, he's the one who's always going to show up to the plays. He's the one with the like semi-global ultimate who can be wherever he wants. He doesn't quite have that first item completed, but that's such a huge spike. And Siwoo have to play such a safe game here.
Yeah. Level 8 here for Casting as well. Does have his Catalyst complete. Just going to feel a whole lot better. Also has a CS advantage by about a wave, but that should be neutralized momentarily. Siwoo does pick that one up. Teleport back here for ShowMaker as well. And Bro just holding on to that slight advantage that they picked up. And Korea going to come on over and just annoy Loki here momentarily. That is
in the cannon.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? Did he just lose a cannon because of it as well?
My
gosh. Casting also lost a cannon. We need to make sure that Teddy just got his cannon in the bottom lane. Otherwise, it's just 3 lanes that lose cannons all over. That's half a kill.
Yeah, big gold swing.
Massive.
Okay, Grub's going down. The TP being committed as well. I mean, it is just Loki's, so he'd be going back to mid regardless, but it is a pretty focused commit from Bro, and Dplus instead just focus on picking up some farm on their side lane. As end result is 3 Grubs for HANJIN BRION in this situation.
Pretty nice. Smash is going to be able to get this wave shoved in though, and just walks around reloading for a few moments. Career coming on over, does look for a Cosmic Binding, but just gets a Meep Slap off and is just going to back away. Deadly Flourish goes wide. And Loki actually taking a lot from Tibbers here is okay. Man drop towards top side of the map as Casting was tanking up that turret, but I think he should be all right. Flash just barely up and available now as he dodges out of the way. And Siwoo will survive. Still has to give up a lot of the lane as now Lucid makes his way forward. Where did he come from? That was insanity, and True Shot Barrage is not going to be able to hit Siwoo here, who was backing in that brush. So Dplus able to find an angle back into this game.
Yeah, I think HANJIN BRION went for that play because Siwoo's flash was nearly up.
Yeah.
And Gideon rushed it before recalling, so he had gold for Sundered Sky, didn't buy it. Instead goes for this top play. We'll see what happened mid-fist. Lucid just wrapping around by the Raptors. And this is the power of Annie Lee Sin. You know, the flash done into the Sonic Wave, can't miss it. But the top lane play, I think the rush was, oh, we need to get him before his flash is up. His flash came up as they were diving him. So
yeah.
Flash out. But I think if they go for that play when Gideon completes his Sundered Sky, I mean, Siwoo is just dead flash or not, right? You have point and click CC, and it'd represent a lot more damage having that guaranteed crit auto. So I think just a bit of a rushed play, and the end result is Dplus getting positive play, counteracting a negative one on the top side.
They do get the flash again, though. So I guess he can just go for it now that he's completed the Sundered Sky. Which is potentially why he's here.
He is going top, and there is a lean from Loki as well. So Siwoo just says, you know what? I don't need a lane.
Yeah. Casting is just going to clear up this wave as well behind the turret, and that is going to mean that Siwoo misses out on that entire wave, currently 25 CS behind. It's a large number, as Lucid down here spotted on a ward though, so they're not going to go for any sort of cross-map dive. Really good defensive play here from HANJIN BRION, just to make sure that they're putting down the Varus without making anyone else in danger.
Yeah, getting a good amount of tower damage with the Grubs as well, but you can see Dplus go for the counter play. Ton of vision on that bot side, and they move in there, and now they're actually looking for Loki mid. Siwoo has his ultimate, but is spotted.
Yeah, Lucid looking to make his way over as well, but he might just be able to get some decent damage onto this outer turret. Casting as well is just going to be able to take this. 3 Grubs, and there was only that 1 plate remaining. So this is still going to be a good play here for HANJIN BRION, despite the fact that they are at a bit of a gold deficit for now. As Tibbers makes his way back to the lane. He was a very busy bear.
So it kind of works out in a way where top lane ends up really far ahead for HANJIN BRION as a result of this, but both mid and bot suffered. So it's kind of trade-offs. You can see the gold lead pretty even. Dplus were further ahead before this, so in terms of total team gold, HANJIN BRION definitely benefiting, but the bot side of the map kind of suffering to make sure Casting gets a sizable lead.
Yep. There also now might be an opportunity for Siwoo to freeze if he would like to, but you do give up a fair bit of map control if you do that. Namgung now just moving over towards this Drake. Second Dragon going to be a Cloud this game. We've already got the Chemtech out of the way. Thank you very much, Aux. And Korea just looking for some chimes. We'll be able to collect them. There's Namgung just saying some Neeko things.
Yeah, Dplus already had a ton of vision down here from when they did that bot side lean. So we see Bro clearing out some of the vision, but there's still some wards behind. Don't really have a great TP flanker, but you see Bro now moving in for the Dragon, and Dplus look like they want to contest. Teddy already down his Arcane Shift.
Yeah, Lucid landing some Qs here pretty nicely, but safeguards to get himself out of the way with Casting in the area though, and with ShowMaker nowhere in sight. It wasn't an opportunity for them as, oh man, it's not exactly a great soul day here today. She finally with some time with the lane. Misses a bunch of farm.
Yeah, just missed the cannon by himself. A little unlucky.
Yeah.
We see Dplus not wanting to overcommit for the Dragon. Hard to play into the Anivia. And I think the thing is with TPing the Varus down is that, you know, they had some wards that would set up well. If you had something like a Renekton, right? You know, or maybe a Gnar, there was definitely angles where you could TP in for the flank. Flanking Varus, not really a thing.
No.
And I think that's one of the potential issues with playing into this comp of HANJIN BRION is so often when you're into an Anivia, especially a fed one, you want to come at multiple angles. If you all come in from one direction, it's very difficult. You're going to get met with walls, with the Glacial Storm as well. With this comp from Dplus, you don't have anyone who's like amazing as a flanker. Like Lee Sin could find flank angles, but I think the main thing is just having like a snapping gauge is what we're going to look for from Dplus. So if you don't see the angle for it, if you don't see the angle just to explosively go in, we may see them just forego the fight instead, as we did there.
Yep, it's just going to be on ShowMaker to find his angles. As does get a stun here towards Loki, just takes half of his health bar. Make that 2/3. As Tippers will be drawn back. And ShowMaker is going to send Loki home. It might be the end of this turret, just have to see. As Teddy now has this wave to deal with, does so quite comfortably. Trinity Force now online, still looking to put together his Mura mana. As Loki actually deciding to stick around, we'll be able to evaporate this wave pretty comfortably.
Yeah, does have the red buff and fillable running, so a decent amount of sustain. But also, I think once the tip has been dropped, there's not nearly as much threat.
Still, Namgung shifting some shapes here, as Lucid just decides to hit it a whole bunch, but that is not the real one. Still a 700 gold lead, as the Anivia not quite enough to provide a full advantage for the team. But as soon as he shows up, it is going to mean that ShowMaker leaves the area. This answer to the Varus top lane, even if it did require a little bit of help, has worked quite nicely here so far.
Yeah.
Question is, can you keep him down? Is going to be sort of on my mind.
I mean, that's the thing. You're still going to have the value of the ultimate on the Varus, even if you are a bit behind. And it really just comes down to can they set up to defend the Anivia. They are starting the Herald. So last time we had an objective in the Herald pit was the Grubs, and Bro got it pretty uncontested. We're going for this again. Dplus once more looks like they're not willing to TP in the Varus. We see the full commit from Bro. They TP the Anivia in. They're like, we want to make this happen. And Dplus go, okay, we'll just get some more farm on a Varus and we'll just wait for another opportunity. It kind of feels like they're really just eyeing up. Can we approach this? Do we have the right angle? No? Okay.
Yeah, hunkering down is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the turret falling down, so Dplus in this moment do actually get themselves a little bit of an advantage in the play. As one more time, ShowMaker throws a bear at Loki. Loki just seems to be at like 1/3 health the entirety of this lane. Has to use the ulti defensively to get out of the way of ShowMaker, who is just feeling very happy in this lane right now. True Shot Barrage will stop the back here from Siwoo, but there was no one there to follow up or anything like that. Just going to buy a little bit of tempo.
Just nice to be annoying sometimes.
Yeah. As Lucid looks for a bit of an angle here as well, but Deadly Flourish is going to go wide. Namgung able to heal himself out of the way. And Siwoo does now have that Hex Plate done, so Chains of Corruption can come out a whole bunch more.
So Siwoo with that ult TPing just to catch the wave there. So, you know, they've been holding the TPs for these fights, not really committing them, not using them, constantly having Siwoo in a side lane, and then he uses it there, losing out on the tempo from Teddy ulting him, just TPs in.
High value ultimate there from Teddy.
Yeah, but also just kind of indicative of how Dplus are kind of playing at the moment. They really haven't been over-focused on grouping now. It is 45 seconds till that Dragon. It's an Ocean Soul, not the highest prio. They haven't really shown a huge inclination to be fighting everything, so if they don't fight this, I wouldn't be too surprised. But they do have Siwoo on this side of the map, and if you look at the vision setup Dplus have around...
Say, that is so many wards.
Yeah,
if they don't get this Dragon, it's going to be a huge waste of money.
100%, and Bro right now are going to move in and start clearing these wards. They won't get all of them, just because there is that line so much deeper.
Yep.
But should be able to pick up a bunch in the river.
You can see ShowMaker is just pinging the turret, though. It might be that they're just not that interested in this Ocean Drake, because Lucid will be able to pick up this blue buff. See who is going to go and collect it. Smash over here, just trying to push this wave back. Gideon going to grab this dragon as it spawns. And Siwoo is now rotating around. He's going to get spotted here on this ward.
This is a big thing. A TPing anti-flank is a lot more threatening than a Varus.
It absolutely is, and ShowMaker is now making his way in. The curtains have already been called, but a bunch of these bullets are going wide. There's a Deadly Flourish as well, as they do get the snare, as ShowMaker finds the backline, but there's a Pop Blossom onto only the Annie. Tempered Fate doesn't hit him. They do get the egg onto casting, but he uses that to keep himself alive, and now Siwoo has to flash away. Loki gets over the wall. The Deadly Flourish is there to try and save him, but it's not going to work, as Gideon puts him down with the help of Teddy, and Bro with a great 2 kills as well as the Drake.
The response was so good there from HANJIN BRION. They just turned onto the flanker and managed to take them out. The problem with it being an Ezreal is that even if you do a ton of damage to him, if the follow-up's not there, if you don't finish him off, it's so hard for the rest of the team to reach him. Everyone kind of moves in when they see ShowMaker. The flash stun, the follow-up, Teddy disengages. They kill Casting in return, but only into the egg.
Yeah.
And so they can't really do more here because they know Casting's going to come back from the egg and be that threat again. And I think, unfortunately, ShowMaker just didn't get the follow-up he needed.
Oh, Lucid still looking for Casting here, but not going to be able to find him. They want to punish that egg being down, get at least a little bit of value from that lost team fight. Not quite able to. Teddy comes on over and gets some of that overgrowth. And Smash is just doing his best to pick up waves. You can see the gold lead has now switched over towards the Bro side, but it's only 500. But still, as this game goes on, I'm feeling the tempo vibes shift towards HANJIN BRION. That's where my mind's at. Where's your? Do you have a gauge?
I feel like, you know, I feel like the picks on the side of Dplus, you know, like the Annie, Lee Sin, this is a combo you want to be finding. I mean, Jhin as well.
Yep.
A lot of these picks, you want to kind of be ahead of the curve, making the plays happen. They've just been kind of passive, letting things go. A lot of objectives going over to HANJIN BRION, and HANJIN BRION seem decisive, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want to fight this objective. We're TPing in. We're getting it. You don't fight us whatever. We've gotten the objective. That they've been the pace setters for this game, and then when it came to that fight, another one.
Yeah, looking for Lucid here, who's almost just straight up dead. There's the ulti, but he goes between the worlds and doesn't find too much more. In the meantime, Siwoo has found the Neeko, and she is extraordinarily dead. Lucid's going to survive there towards that top side, so a little bit of an advantage here for Dplus, but not a whole lot to fight for at this point in time.
Yeah, a little bit off.
Okay. Turret does go down.
Okay, all right, to find that one. Namgung gets caught out. Not sure exactly how that happened, but just not quite having the damage to take out Lucid. It was super close. And they do commit the TP from Casting, so this does mean Siwoo, the side lane, a bit harder to match. Gold's still dead even.
Yeah. And now Siwoo is 50 CS behind, which is a very large number. And it's just the Chains of Corruption also gets value against the Neeko.
Yeah.
As he can just get the follow-up stun if the Shape Splitter does come on through. Kind of like it.
Yeah, so, I mean, this game is still very close. Hasn't been a ton of kills. There is still the potential for Dplus. Like, they have the engage options if they find a target who's isolated. But it does feel like in a structured 5v5, it is harder for them. Now, they are looking for this Varus in the bot lane. No flash on Siwoo. I think you're probably just dead.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Does get the Chains of Corruption down, tries to avoid the snare, but does not do so. And that is going to be the end of the Varus. Almost kills Namgung on his way out, but GIDEON easily has enough damage. And down he will go 1 and 3 now on this Varus that was first picked, if we remember. And it's the Anivia answer that is working out very, very well. Level 16 now for Casting. Does have that Rod of Ages fully stacked up, which is a large reason as to why that's happened. Is now Smash could be in trouble. True Shot Barrage actually snagging him there. Really nicely aimed from Teddy. Picks the angle of escape.
Yeah, that 2-item spike comes in for the Ezreal immediately. You see the pressure able to be put out.
Yeah.
Get some good damage on the tower.
It is Jhin, though. He's able to clear out that wave relatively well. But Casting is just unanswerable. I don't know what you're supposed to do about this bird just having a great time in the bottom lane.
And the thing is, we've seen Dplus have good vision setup around the dragon and choose not to contest it. You know, they have that massive spread of wards, didn't find the right angle and said, no, we're not going to do it. Now, with 45 seconds from dragon, they have nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's HANJIN BRION who have the deeper wards here, and you see Dplus moving over and starting to clear some of these out. But, you know, if they were reluctant to play for the dragon before, it looks like it could be even more difficult now. Siwoo is once again in the top lane, does have TP if he wants to join, and they want to make a fight out of this. Again, Ocean Soul not the highest priority in this game. Even like there's other games where there's tankier targets who at least get some benefit. Everyone's quite squishy, but still not something you want to give over for free.
Yeah, Korea going to make his way out with that magical journey. It is, I believe, Smash that picks up the blue buff there. Siwoo here towards the top side of the map. He's going to get things shoved as Bro have full vision control and a teleport. Now to bring in the Varus. It looks like DK do not want to be giving this one up. But I think once Bro is set up in an area, it is just so hard to find any sort of angle as the wall does come on through. Casting here in this brush. There's the kickback onto the Anivia. They're looking to try and lock him down, but he goes golden. Now the Pop Blossom from Namgung only connects onto ShowMaker, but it may have done enough to move them out of the way. Still, it is only Namgung that's gone down for now. The Varus very, very low. That's Soul Point over to the Bros. One kill in the fight going DK's way. Still probably worth it here for the Bros to grab themselves this Soul Point.
Dplus looking for a little bit more, trying to circumvent them and stop them from getting to mid lane.
Yeah, Korea with that one ward in that brush is actually able to find out where they're moving.
The ShowMaker still has Tibbers. He held it there, was aware of the Seeker's Arm Guard and casting. There's a lot of things that went on during that fight, a lot of little micro-interactions. So Lucid finds casting and gets this great kick. And then casting pops the stasis because he expects the Tibbers, but ShowMaker holds it. So then Namgung has to go in to get space for his Anivia to get out and sacrifices himself. And I think saving the Anivia was really big for Bro because it stops Dplus from being able to chase more after the dragon goes down.
Well, they're going to do it again.
Yeah, so last fight he died to save his Anivia. This fight he just died. He just died, yeah.
Call it he died.
So a less impressive death, we'll say. Less valiant.
Yeah, last time he was an absolute hero. This time he just tripped. I think is kind of how it looks. Now Dplus thinking about starting off a Baron, or at least Lucid is. Does have Smash there alongside him. True Shot Barrage spots exactly what's going on. 4 versus 5 would be the angle here, as Dplus look to try and catch casting, but Korea going to miss that one. Casting was already decided to go back towards that top lane. The pull of the red dots actually saving his life, as Lucid going to be able to steal away this red buff. Chains of Corruption goes wide, as ShowMaker down 50% of his health bar. Still, Dplus, I think, fishing for a little bit of an angle here.
They definitely wanted more of that pick, and I think the thing is, Bro was so far away from the Baron, but the two problems were firstly, it's quite a slow Baron from Dplus there. I mean, this pick presumably, slides in.
Oh, really nice early flourish there as well.
Smash. Great root comes in, and the setup and follow-up is there. But I think the thing is that the Baron is quite slow, and they were taking a lot of damage, and then the True Shot Barrage came in, and then even though HANJIN BRION were far away, they have a Pantheon, so you can always reach the pit for a contest. Also, if you get trapped in the pit against Anivia, it's a nightmare.
Not a dead support, but very close to dead support, as True Shot Barrage is also going to try and kill Korea.
Yeah, if he didn't have... I mean, he had Mikhail's as well, so had a bit more health in the pocket, but definitely without that locket would have been very low on HP, so good he made use of that.
Yeah, Dusk and Dawn does come on through here, as we are missing cannons all over the place today. It is kind of ridiculous. This gold lead as well has not gone above 1,000 on either side all game long. It's so incredibly close. And I can't help but feel like that benefits the Bros, as I feel like this composition will just last that little bit longer. I feel like Dplus really want to be able to explode their targets, and if things are a little bit too even, then they may not necessarily reach the DPS threshold. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it looks like it's been crazy all over the place, but really just the graph is... The scale just isn't that big.
Yeah, it's just very small.
So it hasn't varied by it. You know, there's a missed cannon and it looks like a massive jump. That point where 2 cannons got missed, hidden top. Wow, what a swing.
It was actually about, like, it looked like 200 gold on the UI. It was kind of crazy. ShowMaker able to dash cannon his way out of the Glacial Storm. It looks like casting is just a huge problem here in this game. And I was actually talking to GIDEON earlier on today. We were talking about this matchup, and he was mentioning the fact that ShowMaker and Loki, their stats are both not exactly the highest here in the LCK. In fact, probably the lowest out of all of our mid laners. He thought that was something that the Bros are going to be able to play around, and I actually thought that Siwoo was playing pretty well over the last few games. But so far, casting has been having a great time, and it's the lane that I thought was going to be a bit of a problem here for HANJIN BRION that has actually become a huge problem for Dplus.
Yeah, problem they need to solve. Soul is on the cards, 45 seconds. Vision setup once again in favor of HANJIN BRION. We can see towards the dragon. There's that deeper line cutting in towards the blue buff. And we see casting picking up a Zhonya's completed. So had that broken Seekers, now has that. Flashes back up again. GA for GIDEON. These are some really big buys in this fight. Really high value. And now Dplus are trying to move in here and get access to the river. should be able to do a decent job off it and clear out the banana brush there off that control ward.
And Smash really wanted to complete his Infinity Edge. He's relatively close to that. Spirit coming on through relatively soon for Teddy as well for 4 items, but it's this Jhin that is very far ahead on the DK side. Korea able to get into this pit to try and get some vision down. Obviously, things can get a little bit murky with all of these extra brushes that you do have available with the Ocean Rift. As casting, moving on down from that top side, but Siwoo is looking for that flank angle. And by flank, I mean looking to get to the rest of his team without having to walk through all of HANJIN. You get this ward down as the bros...
He's been spotted.
Yeah, taking some time, committing to this fight right now. As Siwoo, like you say, spotted on vision, but is looking to just break up the phalanx of the bros right now. As Lucid will be able to use that Q to get back on top of this dragon. The flash in from ShowMaker, looking to take down Teddy, and now the curtains have been called. Siwoo, the one in a lot of trouble here in this backline though, has to flash to get out of the way, and the Tempered Fate looking to create even more space as the Hail of Arrows comes in. ShowMaker gets knocked up by the Pop Blossom, but look at these health bars melt. Dplus find the angle, there's a kickback from Lucid, and the fancy feet prevail here on Dplus's side. They get these health bars down and the bros just fall apart.
Just beautifully played there by Dplus, trying to look for more, won't find it, but should be able to go for the Baron on the back of that.
Oh,
no one died.
Goodness.
For Dplus, 3 kills picked up, and even with things like the GA in pocket, the Zhonya's picked for casting, just wasn't enough. I feel like the approach, the patient approach from Dplus, and the flank pressure from Siwoo was such a problem.
Yeah, not to mention ShowMaker finding Teddy, and he had to use all of his buttons before the fight even really broke out.
Yeah, I think we talked earlier about how into Anivia you want to find those flanks. I think ShowMaker playing on this right side and Siwoo just being this annoying presence really made things difficult for HANJIN BRION. Teddy essentially CCing himself by ulting so that ShowMaker can go for the combo. He has to back up on low HP. The 4th shot hits, so everyone has to move to cover him. Meanwhile, we see GIDEON jump on a Siwoo, but the Tempered Fate buys time. This from Lucid, dives in.
Oh man, yeah, the safeguard just gorgeous.
So well played, and then kicks the Pantheon into his Varus to finish off. They clean up the Anivia, they clean up the Pantheon, so they can get that Baron without any contest. So just really well played. And again, you know, there's difficulty if you just go straight into Anivia, but it felt like there was this sort of measured hit a target, but don't overcommit.
Yeah.
Follow up and move in and out at the right time. The Dplus just did so beautifully there.
And I really think that they had to play it that well, right? You were talking about item spikes, that was on the HANJIN BRION side, but also just the composition over time should be easier and easier for Bro to play out in these team fights. And DK do need to win the finesse battle, and they absolutely did in that last fight. They're going to have to keep it up, though, as we were talking about. This is the largest gold lead that we've seen all game long, but at 31 minutes, 3K is not exactly a massive amount. As now Siwoo is in, I was going to say trouble, but he's dead, ladies and gentlemen. He is just not going to survive, as he does try and get a bit of damage back onto Teddy, but just sort of caught trying to push up this lane. Not exactly the most safe split pusher that you have. And now, with a few extra people here on the bro side, they are just going to push DK away. That is going to mean that Rebel Baron power play shrinks to about 1,000. And yeah, 3,000 gold lead. No, not in this game. This is a game about having no gold leads at all.
Yeah, just, I mean, hard as a Varus to be playing in the side lane against the Pantheon, especially when you have so many mobile carries you can follow up so easily with the Aurora and the Ezreal. Nice dodge there from GIDEON.
Yep.
To be able to survive that. There wasn't too many champions close up in the follow-up with the Jhin. There's always that worry. But yeah, so Baron kind of negated by that pick onto Siwoo. And even though Dplus did get that dragon, still the sole threat for Bro on the next one. But it is Dplus who have kind of regained control of the game and got that advantage. Smash does have his IE now.
Yeah, he's very large.
Yeah, went for the Storm. Actually, this time he went Storm Raze as second, not third, and then Rapid Fire third, but went for the later IE build again.
Yeah.
But does have it fourth. I feel like as well there's not that much resistances on HANJIN BRION, so didn't need to go like Armor Pen and then IE fifth.
I just want to say, I don't like it when you speak ill of the item builds. Okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just say that you shouldn't have played Jhin.
Oh, okay.
It's not about the item build, in my opinion. No, that's just a little bit of an in-joke. We are I'm still like not sure where the tempo vibes are. I know that HANJIN BRION just lost a team fight, but I do feel like a whole lot had to go right for DK in order to make that happen. A whole lot had to be done proactively on their side. And Dplus Kia does need, like, I feel like they're the ones that have to sweat on the keyboard to make things happen, you know? Whereas HANJIN BRION, they just need to play it slow, get control of an area, and just do things relatively correctly, and they should be able to make it work.
A lot did go wrong for HANJIN BRION in the last one, but I think going into this next fight, they don't have control of the area compared to the previous couple of Dragons where they started with control. Oh, ShowMaker over the wall.
Yeah, does find the tip as Chains of Corruption lands as well. And GIDEON is taken down. His GA was so close to coming back up as Tempered Fate is going to catch casting. And ShowMaker has the stun ready for him. Lucid gets on top. The egg is just going to be scrambled. And Korea locks down that kill for his team. Dplus find 2 and now can look to break open the base.
ShowMaker is playing so well around this vision, and I feel like Jonah Strong's having a field day with the vision toggles.
Oh, he is.
Just be able to show, oh, he's looming, he's a threat, he's there, and then getting this pick onto the Pantheon that follows up with the Bard ult onto casting. They get 2 kills, they get this mid lane inhibitor tower, and it will be Dragon secured as well. Just great angles being found by the mid lane of Dplus Kia.
Yep, now 6 elemental drakes here in this game as well, but this is a very large gold swing, right? They take the inhibitor, they get that extra map pressure, and GIDEON 4 seconds till he's up on the map. That is going to be a guaranteed Drake soul point for both teams, as Dplus going to be 1 away from that Ocean Soul as well. And we might, I mean, this still could be a game that goes to Elder Flip territory. But I am still a little bit worried here for the bros, as DK have just been playing so well around this draft that can be a little bit difficult to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, that start of the wall, over the wall was so good, and especially into a Pantheon who can block so much damage.
Yeah.
But he'd lost most of his health bar before he even got a chance to because of the stun and the lack of vision. So just a great pickup, great angle. And now 5,600 ahead. Dplus have a massive lead. Baron in 30 seconds. They're definitely the ones with control. You can see a ton of vision on their side. There is a little bit of warding that HANJIN BRION have got down. You can see that control ward they have just north of the Baron pit. And there is a ward as well nearby. So they should have a decent amount of information if Dplus go for it. But
looking for casting here as Teddy's found once again. He's got the QSS this time around though, as Namgung not able to find Smash there. He just walks it off. Smash has been playing unbelievably well. He's able to take down Namgung here. GIDEON goes in, but I think he's going to be taking the Death Chamber exit from this one as he dives on top. Does manage to take down ShowMaker, but he'll sacrifice his life for it. Speaking of sacrifice, it is going to be Siwoo falling as well. And if GIDEON survives here, there might actually be an opportunity, but the curtains are being called, and Smash, he's looking to prove to me that Jhin is actually a good champion, and maybe I need to stand up and recognize 6,000 gold is the lead, and DK are actually looking to try and knock down these Nexus turrets and win game 1.
Only Teddy to defend here.
Yeah, he is able to arcane shift his way out, and he is just dead. Lucid able to finish him off with the help of Smash, and this guy with 5 items completed is just destroying HANJIN BRION. He's now going to turn his sights towards this Nexus, and they will win game number 1. Dplus really playing that mid to late game out absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, a game which, you know, a lot of fights weren't taken by Dplus when they didn't see the opportunity, they didn't see the right angle for it.